Hey guys, and welcome to an epic showdown between two legendary warriors. On the left-hand side, representing QSA, we have Ben the Barman up against Romulan Dog and his Warriors of Chaos forces. Should be a good fun game, and if anyone is kind of a veteran of the channel and has seen Ben the Barman send it in replays before, you know he is cursed with the gift to have insanely close replays. He is the king of them, so we'll have to see if this one does fare in a similar format. For his forces of the Wood Elves, here we do have 4 units of Glade Riders with Hagbane tips, some of the best skirmish cav in the game. They are so pesky to deal with. They slow you down with that poison, and they scoot their boots and escape. Good counter to enemy Marauder Horsemen and Horse Masters. The main battle line is going to be just an Eternal Guard. It looks like a mixture of shielded and non-shielded varieties, and they're going to be stacked around the mighty Durfin. This is how I like to play my Wood Elves as well. Durfin have an absolute whale of a time there, screaming at the snow as it does drop down upon him. You get a load of anti-large spears dropping around Durfu and watch Durfu kill literally everything. We have double Wildwood Rangers as well, a unit I'm a big fan of hating. And I wish these guys were good. I wish they were, deep down. But unfortunately, they seem to be pretty trash. But I understand them in this matchup. They'd be good up against the Warriors of Chaos thick armor. We have a Branch Wraith coming in with Earthblood as well as the +5 melee attack around her. Durfu is bringing Sword of Dave, Flock of Doom, and a Manticore Summon. And I love the pick of these two guys together. Use a Branch Wraith to heal up Durfu. I also like Scroll of Shielding normally, but looks like he's forgotten that for today. And instead, going for a mighty Forest Dragon up in the skies. We actually just had a really cool replay on the channel with a couple of these bad boys in action. For the forces of the Warriors of Chaos and Romulan Dog, he's going to be led by the mighty Duck Lord himself, the Everwatcher, coming in with Final Transmutation, Plague Rust, and Sear and Doom. So all the competitive stuff there. A ton of Chaos Marauders dotted through the front line. Cheap, cheerful, happy to be here and ready for a good old fat scrap. Double Chaos Warriors in the central pocket who definitely want to avoid those Wildwood Rangers at all cost. We have 2 Chaos Chariots, just a basic variety, and 4 units of Horsemen and Horse Masters all mixed in together, so 2 of each. And in the very centre of the back here, we have a pick I'm really a big fan of in a lot of matchups, is the Hell Cannon. It is disgustingly good long-range artillery, and it's going to be protected by the Summoners of Rage, Regiment of Renowned Dragon Ogres. So without further ado, let's get this battle underway. So straight out the gate, Glade Riders are going to be moving up and loosen a few arrows to start with into the Everwatcher. Of course, he comes in with that ridiculous missile resistance, but at the end of the day, he can't heal, so damage is damage. Forest Dragon is going to float over top of the enemy. Now, the Horsemen are going to have to get active here and really try to focus down that Forest Dragon because it can float over and do a big breath attack on the Hell Cannon. All of a sudden, you're down an artillery piece, and it looks like the artillery is already paying dividends. However, Wildwood Rangers, a big, fat, squishy, juicy target for the Hell Cannon to focus fire, and we can see a shot arcing through the skies, going this time for the Eternal Guard and aiming a little too high. It can even shoot at the Forest Dragon, as the Forest Dragon, flying attacks in general actually kind of struggle up against the Hell Cannon, as it does track them. The Forest Dragon is rather large, but I like the switching of shots, this time aiming for the clumped up Wildwood Rangers, as well as the Eternal Guard. On the right-hand side, it looks like Marauders are going to be used to try and force back Glade Riders from key targets, opening up a central hole for the Chaos Chariots to beam through. Really beautiful play there by the Chaos Forces, but it looks like the Warriors are having none of it. Glade Riders darting through into the back line, trying to surround these chariots. That will allow the Wildwood Rangers and Eternal Guard to pin them in place and do some massive work. Big old fat blob fight has started to ensue down on this side. Sword of Dave has helped cleave asunder some Chaos Chariots, Marauders, and the Everwatcher does not want to tussle here. We have the Forest Dragon as well as Durfu fighting here. It's very nasty stuff for sure for the Warriors of Chaos. A beautiful micro Glade Riders darting to and fro through the back lines, weaving their way through the battle line, trying to get on top of this Hell Cannon. It looks like a few of their units will get clipped, but they should be able to make it through. But fantastic play by the Warriors of Chaos player. It looks like he does notice this and brings back the Summoners of Rage. That was a beautiful darting run with the Glade Riders through the middle of the battlefield there, but alas, a little too late for them. Durfu has managed to break up this central pocket, and they've managed to shatter off the Chaos Chariots, which is good news for them. However, the Horse Masters are relatively happy at the moment. The Glade Guard really need to try and focus them down, and it looks like that's just what they're doing on this left-hand side. And the Horsemen are being ushered to the edge of the battlefield. Nowhere for you to run anymore. Eternal Guard as well are even trying to push through, trying to chase off at double Chaos Marauders, which would be a good idea. Wildwood Rangers need to get into the action though, maybe trying to hunt down these Chaos Warriors would be my bet. Very close game so far. Forest Dragon has taken a little bit of a pound, and of course those Earthbloods to heal it up, and it's floating directly over top of this Hell Cannon, but beautiful play by the Chaos Warriors of Chaos player, pulling the Hell Cannon crew off the actual machine. So it looks like the Forest Dragon instead is going to settle for burning alive some Horsemen. It can even dart down here and scare these troops off a little bit, or get back to friendly territory where it indeed can get healed up quite nicely. Glade Riders continue their dart into the back line, hunting down the Horsemen as well as as the Hell Cannon crew really gunning for it all game so far, and the Manticore Summon has been popped. Could be used on the Summoners of Rage, yes, they'll be able to deal with it relatively effectively, but combined, the Manticore plus Durfu and Overwatch Fire from the Glade Riders could do a number on the Summoners of Rage, and they're a big problem in the late game here for the Elves if they do survive. Serum Doom comes down, focuses down the Wild Rangers, who are not having the best of times, tussling with Marauders and gigantic running around Everwatchers. Unfortunately, the Frog Dragon up in the sky did dawdle a little too long. He was kind of vibing with the Marauder Horsemasters. Gets hit with an Overcast Plague of Rust, lowering his armor to 0. Dragons are incredibly squishy beasts despite their thick, scaly skin. Now the Horseman will be able to force this guy off the field, so unfortunately he is done for. But elsewhere, the Wood Elves are reigning supreme. They've beaten their way through that flank on that side, far side there, and can now start to dart in. Ferryman's Court is being used to hunt down the Hell Cannon, which again is good if it destroys the artillery piece. But I'd like to see him fighting in alongside Durfu up against the Everwatcher as well as the Summoners of Rage, because these guys are the damage dealers that can really deal with Durfu. Everything else can be dealt with, apart from I suppose the Horsemen and Horsemasters. That's where you need your Glade Riders coming in. And it looks like they have managed to stabilise themselves on this far side, unleashing a few shots upon the Summoners. Looks like the Wild Rangers are going to be receiving a fat charge here. Actually, no, the Horsemen stopped just in front. Bad news for them, and then they're going to be getting cleaved into by the mighty Great Swords. Not having a good day whatsoever. This unit, in fact, getting routed straight away. All of a sudden, giving the mobility advantage right back to the High Elves, the Wood Elves' favour, I should say. They were once High Elves, in fairness, but anyway. The Manticore does dart in once again after the Summoners of Rage. A Sword of Dave has gone down, catching a huge plethora of units here, which is really good work. And the Summoners do not want to draw Durfu when this is popped, but a Final Transmutation has come in, upgraded Plague of Rust and an Earthblood. All the spells are going down. Eternal God rushing to the aid here of the mighty Treeman himself, but he's suffering quite poorly. Glade Riders have managed to shut down one unit of Horsemen. Looks like they're going to be able to overwhelm them with sheer numbers. This is such a pivotal fight in the middle. Summoners of Rage close to breaking, but so is Durfu. The Branch Wave comes charging. Glade Riders as well, starting to chuck their bodies on the line for their Treeman Lord in a desperate attempt to keep him alive and the Summoners of Rage at bay. But this one Summoner is pushing through, and the Everwatcher is a tricky customer, very slippery and very powerful at pushing through troops. More Glade Riders committing themselves to the fight, and it looks like they have managed to terrify off the Summoners of Rage, who are going to be fleeing for the hills. They can do some really nice damage to them, but I think Durfu is going to be going down here. 902 health, perhaps if he can get an Earthblood, and he does indeed get an Earthblood. He is back in the game all of a sudden. Summoners of Rage are shaken, but have managed to stabilise themselves. These Glade Riders definitely want to pull out at this moment. Over here, Eternal Guard are facing Chaos Warriors, not a fight they want to really be having, and Horsemen have managed to dart around into the flanks. If you have an overarching view of the battlefield, it's pretty much what you see is what you get. A few little kind of drips and drabs are going to be coming back in, as are some Chaos Chariots, but Durfu finally has been broken by the persistent pressure of the Everwatcher himself. And Durfu down to 158 health, not having a fun day. Eternal Guard are attempting to guard him by charging in, but the Everwatcher is simply pushing its way through. Even when poisoned, its mass is too much, and it's just going to be clobbering Elves left, right, and centre in that hot pursuit of Durfu, who is getting held up once more. And if he can come back and pop another couple of spells, maybe, just maybe, the Wood Elves still have a good chance. Wildwood Rangers have finally got on top of their ideal target, the Chaos Warriors, and the Glade Riders are chucking themselves on the line, trying to break the back of these more elite, ferocious Chaos forces. Wildwood Rangers doing a good job there, up to 79 kills. And it's just really going to be a big problem, though. It is going to be these Horse Masters. Glade Riders do charge in for a last-ditch attempt and actually shatter one unit before trying to pull back, but I think they may be done for, and Durfu certainly is. 313 health there, and down low to 28 minus leadership, and the Everwatcher is simply going to hunt him down, and then it's going to be a little bit of a skirmish phase. Glade Riders are darting into combat after the Horse Masters where possible to try and pin them in, as they are out of ammunition at this point. Good diligent play as well by the Wood Elf player. Glade Riders hunting down Chaos Warriors, force them off the field to ensure none of this pesky stuff comes back. Speaking of that, though, one Summoner of Rage does return to the field. Only 106 hit points on this bad boy, but he wants to get involved. I'm sure he'll give it a good swing here or there. And the Branch Wraith trying to avenge the mighty Durfu, who is face down rather disgracefully in the snow. The Branch Wraith, not terrible duelist, actually, and doing a pretty good job against the Everwatcher, slowly chunking away at that health, although her loyal Eternal Guard bodyguard have decided to run from the field of play. Wildwood Rangers can dish out a huge amount of damage here, so it looks like the Horse Masters army focusing them down where possible, although the Glade Riders are desperately trying to push those guys back, having absolutely none of it. Although the Everwatcher now floating over, and a nice collapse by both the Horse Masters will probably break the Glade Riders before the Branch Wraith and the Wildwood Rangers can indeed catch up. They're charging in, roaring victoriously, and then they got splattered into big old puffs of snow and blood. Not a good day for them whatsoever, but they can now surround the Overwatch and do some decent damage. Horsemasters are being forced off by the Branch Wraith, although they need to realistically fight on top of their troops, gather all the Wood Elf forces together and make a last-ditch stand. Balance power is against them. However, as the ammunition does start to wane, this Branch Wraith could be really key in doing decent damage to the Overwatcher. Unfortunately, the Wild Rangers have started to run for their lives. Glade Warriors trying to get in their way and say, nope, turn your asses around, you are coming back with us. We fight to the death. And then they go in for a charge themselves, trying to inspire the nearby troops, aiming for the Horsemasters, which is a really good idea. Unfortunately, having to pass by the Everwatcher, who will take some big cleaving swings, flapping those big old fat duck wings, and fly in to just break and terrify the Glade Riders off. Unfortunately, it looks like most of the Wood Elf forces have started to break at this point. Branch Wraith, though, is coming back here, charging it in. I love the Branch Wraith's charge animations. I don't know why. It looks like they're kind of struggling, but going fast at the same time. Comes in and starts slapping up the Everwatcher, who's going to have a more rough time up against the Branch Wraith than those pesky, squishy Elves. The mighty tree folk aren't happy with the death of Durfu, and it should be a pretty fun duel. The Everwatch, of course, is a better melee combatant all-round and spellcaster, but it is obviously a lord and far more expensive. A lot of the Chaos Forces, though, are starting to waver and buckle themselves. Eternal Guard do start to flee, and it looks like an Earthblight comes just a tiny bit too late. If that can stabilise these Wild Rangers, they can do some really nice damage, but unfortunately, they do run for the hills, and the Branch Wraith stands alone amongst a sea of chaos. Getting javelins in the butt, axes to the face. Probably not a big fan of axes being a tree, in fact. And the Everwatcher as well is just going to be clattering her to the ground at every opportunity. Looking incredibly fearsome and not having a good day whatsoever. I wonder if they're going to be redesigning this model for Game 3 with the other big models as well. We'll have to wait and see. It looks like a Plague of Rust or a Final Transmutation has come down. It is indeed a Plague of Rust, minusing that armor by 30. All that's left on the battlefield is a couple of beat-up Chaos Marauders and the Everwatcher, but it should just about be enough as the Branch Wraith's leadership does start to waver. It does recover when she's on the ground, because of course she's not been attacked then very briefly, and she's going to slaughter, decapitate one more Chaos Marauder on her way out, trying to get some decent damage. And there's a lot of heads dotted on the floor there in one go. I see 4 decapitations in one swing. The Branch Wraith not a happy bunny at all, but it looks like it is just a showdown of the 1v1s. Oh, there are some horsemen in the distance there. And the Branch Wraith is given as good as it gets, doing some massive damage to the Everwatcher, but still 2,500 health versus 1,900. Not looking super tasty whatsoever. And the Branch Wraith does get punted down into the snow as well. Face in the snow, I think the morale may start to break as the giant Everwatcher bounds and flaps forward, slapping at the Branch Wraith at every opportunity. I love those animations with the tendrils of death coming from underneath the snow, and a very valiant defeat. And look at that end shot there by a rather vicious Everwatcher. Fantastic game by both these guys, and as we said, Ben the Barman is gifted with the brilliant replays. Every single time he sends one in, it's going to be an absolute stormer, but he's also cursed with the fact he has to play an insanely amount of stressful games, and so every game he seems to play ends up being very close. But massive shout out to him, as well as Romulan Dog here. 2 relatively off-meta builds as well. I think both of them brought 1 or 2 units you don't often see. I'd say the Chaos is a little bit more meta in this situation than the Wood Elf build. The Wood Elf build is slightly more experimental, coming in with the Forest Dragon, but I'm a big fan of it. I think it did rather well. Now, we'll break down the stats, damage values, and all that stuff in a second, but I hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, feel free to give the video a big old thumbs up. It helps push it out to more people, and you can subscribe to the channel if you like this type of content. We do Total War Warhammer content every single day, as well as a couple of streams here and there, 1 or 2 or 3 dotted throughout the week. If you want to see your replays like Ben the Barman's up on the channel, feel free to join my Discord. There's a link down below in the description, and therefore you can drop them off there in the replays for casting section, get involved in tournaments, and just chill out with a load of cool guys and see a load of pictures of ducks, because that's what we do in my Discord. There's a lot of ducks absolutely everywhere. Anyway guys, let's have a little look. So, Romulan Dog, really good build all round. I really like the Hell Cannon pick. It didn't actually get the most damage value in the end, and it is a little bit risky because Willows are very fast, and if they've gone aggressive, they can really shut it down rather quickly. We saw the Dragon flying overhead, forced them to come off it, and then he could hunt it down with other such units, but then it worked as a good distraction. Ben the Barman had to chuck so many units at this that the big Dragon and so forth really got taken down by the Horsemasters, who got some insane value, 1.8k here, 1.4k here, 980 gold and 400 gold. So not so much on this one, but the Horsemasters, real MVPs, dragged down the Dragon, helped drag down Durfu, and were really solid in the end as well, despite the fact they were being hunted and kind of dogged the entire game by those Glade Riders. Summons of Rage did a decent job as well, getting a nice round on Durfu at 1 point. 1,300 damage value and 6,878 damage dealt is certainly very impressive stuff. The Chariots fared rather poorly. Now, Chariots against Wood Elves can, be a pretty decent pick. They're good at busting through their front lines and getting onto Glade Guard, and also, as well as, hunting down Way Watchers, Deepwood Scouts, all that good stuff. But they got pinned in and really churned up by Durfu, as well as those Sword of Daves kind of dragged them apart. And a lot of large targets for them, unfortunately, today, which could pin them in with the Dragon, Durfu, and the like. Chaos Warriors did a pretty solid job. Nothing too crazy here, but getting okay value across the board. 4.7k damage dealt here, 5.6 here, and the Marauders were here obviously just to kind of die for the most part. And the ones that did go on the Eternal Guard did a pretty decent job, but they did also suffer quite badly. But good display from the Warriors of Chaos. As for Ben the Barman, unfortunately the Forest Dragon, these guys really seem to struggle the most out of a lot of the dragons. Maybe the Sun Dragon the least. Maybe struggles a little bit more. But Forest Dragons, I really love them. Design-wise, they're incredibly cool. The antlers on their head look absolutely amazing. But as we can see, this dragon here, 220 damage value. Ouch, that is very painful stuff. But at the same time, it did force all the Horse Masters to deal with it, allowing Durfu to get in the fight a little while longer. Fantastic Glade Rider play, aggressive Glade Rider play as well, which you certainly need to use them. 1k damage value here, looks like 1.1, 700 and 900. So really good skirmish play by both players here, and the Glade Riders coming out slightly on top there, I think, for cost-wise. Wildwood Rangers, I said earlier on, they're just so squishy for the damage they do. I don't mind them here, as they are good up against the Warriors of Chaos, but they were dueling Marauders a long time, getting charged by chariots and throwing axes, hell cannons. They're just such an obvious target and not paying for themselves. Unfortunately, just 550 damage value on both of them pretty much. Eternal Guard fared a little bit better, doing some okay damage across the board. Nothing too crazy though. And the Branch Wraith was a bit of a linebacker here in the end game, trying to rally the force of the Wood Elves to victory. Nearly 1,000, well, just over 900 damage value. And Durfu, I'm a big fan of Durfu. I think he's one of the most underrated Wood Elf Lords, always has been. I think he's been a very competitive pick for a long time. 13k damage dealt, 2,000 damage value, despite the fact he was surrounded a long time by very tough opponents. Hope you guys enjoyed. Until next time, peace, and as always, stay awesome.